सर नमस्ते।
गुड मॉर्निंग।
कैसे हैं सर?
बढ़िया है। देखो वर्चुअल दुनिया में मिलना शुरू हो गया ना।
मुझे लग रहा है हैबिचुअल हो गए हैं।
हैबिचुअल हो गए। और इसके एडवांटेज भी है, ऐसा नहीं कि डिसएडवांटेज है। एडवांटेज भी कि इजीली एक्सेसिबल हो गए सारे के सारे ना।
वो टाइम वेस्ट नहीं होता सर इधर उधर।
हाँ, वो तो अच्छी बात है, बट वो है कि जो इंटरेक्शन है ना, वो उसका इफेक्ट उतना अच्छा नहीं होता जितना फिजिकली में होता है। बस ये इतना, ये सबसे बड़ा ड्रॉबैक है इनफैक्ट ना। और दूसरा, स्पेशली इनकी जो हम जब पढ़ाने की बात करते हैं या डिलीवरिंग की बात करते हैं, तो हम जो हमारे एक्चुअल जिसको देना है उनका फेस रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर पाते, मतलब रीड नहीं कर पाते ना हम। अगर वो फेस रीड करना भी टेक्नोलॉजी वो बता दे पूरे प्रॉपरली, या फिर मतलब प्योर वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग रूम हो ना, तो फिर तब ठीक है, क्योंकि फेस से पता चल जाता है कि इसको समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है। पता चला हम अपने हिसाब से बोलते जा रहे हैं और सामने वालों को बिल्कुल भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा।
So
चलो
sir,
एनीवे,
introduce me to the participants.
साउंड आ रहा है? मुझे नहीं आ रहा।
Hello.
हाँ, अब आ रही है आवाज।
Okay sir. So I introduce Professor O.P. Verma from Delhi Technological University, Delhi. He is the external expert for today's talk in the K2. So he has done his BE degree from the MNIT Jaipur and MTech degree from IIT Delhi, and then PhD degree from the University of Delhi. From 1992 to 1998, he was with Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, MNIT Jaipur, as assistant professor, and then he joined the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, DTU, in 1998 as associate professor. Presently, Professor Verma is professor of DTU Delhi since October 2011. He has worked with as a director principal of GB Pant Engineering College, Okhla, Delhi from 2017 to 2021. Prior to joining the GB Pant Engineering College, he was the professor and head Department of Computer Science and Engineering from 2014 to 2017. He has been the head of the Department of Information Technology from 2007 to 2017 and head Computer Center from 2014 to 2017. Member Academic Council, Chairman Board of Studies, and Chairman Department Research Committee of Department of CSC, Electronics and Communication Engineering, Information Technology, and has served as Dean Continuing Education from 2013 to 2015 as well at DTU. He has published fully online BTech admission courses at DTU and served as chairman BTech admission in year 2012, 2013, 2014, 2016, and has also established a secure campus-wide network for providing the internet facility at the DTU. He was the chief investigator of ISEA project phase 1 and phase 2, which was sponsored by the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India at IDG. Professor Verma has contributed academically to a number of academic and professional bodies. Presently, he is member of Board of Governors of Sri Subramania Nagar College of Engineering, Kalahukkam, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, Sri Sairam Engineering College, Sai Leo Nagar, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, Impri Pinchwad College of Engineering, Maharashtra, and was a member of BOG of Government of Azamgarh. He was a member of Board of Studies of different institutes situated across the country. He is an expert member in peer team visits of UGC, AICT, and NAC for universities and colleges. Professor Verma has excellent track record of quality teaching and research. He is listed in the top 2% scientists in the world in the study performed by the Stanford University USA for the year 2020 and 2020. He is the recipient of Premier Research Award for Excellence in Research and Commendable Research Award for Excellence in Research awarded by DTU. He has guided 9 PhD theses in the field of computer science, information technology, electronics, and presently 10 students are pursuing PhD under his supervision. He has been chief patron coordinator in organizing number of faculty development programs, seminars, workshops, and contributed as a resource person by delivering expert talks in workshops, refresher courses, and national international conferences. He is an editor of books and author in book chapters. He has published more than 95 papers in reputed journals and conferences. He is having a Google Scholar H index of 24, I10 index 42, and more than 2,000 citations, and is a contributing reviewer of number of ACM, IEEE, Elsevier, IET Springer journals. He was the organizing chair of IEEE India International Conference on Information Processing in August 2012 to 14, 2016, and General Chair for the International Conference on Computers and Management in December 2015. Professor O.P. Verma is a man of vision and firm commitment and resolve to nurture academic and professional excellence in institution to which he has associated himself during his 28-year professional career. So we welcome you in our faculty development program, which title as Bio-Inspired Algorithms and Optimization Techniques for Emerging Research Areas in Computer Applications. So participants, Professor O.P. Verma will be delivering a talk on nature-based optimization algorithms and applications in fuzzy age detection. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Saab, for nice introduction. So I will try my best to communicate what I know
Right, sir.
to all participants.
सर आप प्रेजेंट कर लीजिएगा मैं वो कर दूँ.
So hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to relate my talk with this the faculty development program. So nature-based optimization algorithm, and I'm also discussing application of one of the algorithm in the field of image edge detection, in which the fuzzy concept is also been applied. Although this nature-based optimization word is a big word, so in this, in fact, there are different types of the algorithm, like genetic algorithms and other types of the algorithm. But so nature-based optimization is a broad word. The first question comes into the mind: why we are going for such type of optimization algorithms when we already knows in mathematics there are optimization algorithms being taught since more than 100 years. We know since more than 100 years, and all mathematicians deal with those algorithms. So that's the reason I'm just wanted to have some idea about some issues with the traditional optimization algorithms. Traditional techniques used for optimizations, you all know, we being taught in first year and second year of the engineering, in the mathematics class. One of the important method which is being taught is Newton-Raphson method. All engineering students learn this particular methods. Pattern search, computer science students mainly go for this one, and many others. The question is why we are going for the nature-based optimization algorithm is because some problem with these techniques are, we should call there, strictly should not call a problem, but there are some problem, some theoretical problem which also comes into the picture. Usually there needs knowledge of the first order, second order derivative of the objective function or any kind of the function whose value either to be maximized or to be minimized, and the constant. So we try to find out the slopes either graphically or mathematically, try to find out the derivative, then make it is equal to 0. Then if it is not negative, then we go for the second order and decide that this will give you the minimum value or maximum value depending on the functions. The another, although this first cannot be called as a drawback, we all know as mathematics, so we can definitely go for derivatives. That is not a big issue. But another issue, the different method for different types of the problem, especially for the traditional algorithms. Although for nature-based algorithm, optimization algorithm also, it is not a problem that one algorithm is useful for all kind of the problem. But in nature-based, the original, traditional algorithm, there are obviously different methods for different types of the problem. So methods tends to be problem specific. The important point is the third point. So struggle to find the solution of the problem with discontinuity. In fact, we should not use the word struggle is a tough word. We know that when there is a discontinuity at that particular point, we cannot find out the derivative because you cannot find the change at the discontinuity. So you cannot find the derivative at that particular point. Therefore, they struggle to find the solution of the problem with discontinuity. For the continuous function, it is fine to determine the first order and second order derivative. But if there is a continuity at particular location, then it is difficult, although almost impossible mathematically to find the derivative. So these are some issues in traditional techniques. Although there is no replacement of the traditional technique in all the applications, still we are using. They are good for some specific problems. So, in fact, this nature-inspired algorithms started coming to the picture, the study after development of the computers algorithms, programming algorithms. The first very famous algorithm, which all you knows, it came in the 1960s, that is the genetic algorithms. Now, just for some introduction, what are the basic process happens in all kind of the nature-based algorithms in optimization? Optimization is basically an act, process, or methodology of making something as a design, system, or decision as a fully perfect function or as effective as possible. You all know that the nature provides some of the efficient way to solve the different problems, and therefore scientists are trying to use their natural methods, make them a model, and based on that model, try to come out with some kind of the algorithms. And these algorithms imitate the process inspired by the nature. You can stop me in between if you feel. So in this slide, we are trying to compare the nature-inspired versus traditional algorithms. The way in which the nature-inspired techniques differ from the traditional method is in how it takes a more evolutionary approach or learning. In fact, there is another word for nature-inspired algorithm. It is evolutionary algorithm or evolutionary computing. That is more common nowadays. And we are talking about the artificial intelligence, machine learning. This AI and machine learning is a big field. So, in fact, this evolutionary computing or nature-based algorithms are also part of the AI and machine learning because they provide the solution by learning the parameters of that are used in the solution of the problems and optimize those parameters. So it takes a more evolutionary approach to learn as opposed to what could be described as creationist method used in traditional methods. In traditional methods, what we are doing normally, it is a top to bottom approach. We starting with the problem, going for the step by step for the solution. For example, function is there, and then we are going for the derivative of the finding first order and second order, and then making it equal to 0, and then finding the value. So we can call it from top to bottom approach. And once the technique is created and applied to a specific problem, which makes the technique very rigid, that means that particular technique is applicable for a particular type of the problem. But in case of the nature-inspired technique, on the other hand, it takes a more bottom-up or decentralized approach. In fact, we first define a function that is normally called as an objective function. And then we try to either minimize it or maximize it. So starting in the reverse fashion, and then parameter involved in that objective functions are calculated or find through the some process in the nature inspired algorithms. So they are heuristic in nature. And one important thing in case of the nature inspired algorithm, it does not give every run will give a solution, but the solution will not be same if you change the run. If you change every time if you run the algorithm, you will have a solution. So normally the result is the average of number of times of how the algorithm is being run. But in case of the traditional, it is the exact value which comes based on the problem. So it is more of bottom up or decentralized approach. These techniques often involve the method of specifying a set of simple rule, a set of simple organism which adheres to those rules, and a method of iteratively applying those rules. We are talking about the nature-inspired algorithm. So as I told you right now, that number of times we run the algorithm, after several generation of the rule application, it is usually the case that some form of the complex behavior arises. Then complexity gets built upon complexity until the end result is something markedly complex and quite often completely counterintuitive, contradictory, unreasonable from what the original rule would have been expected to produce. those who develop the new algorithm. This third step, if you want to develop the new algorithm, we can end up with the third step also. There are certain characteristics which are common in the nature-based algorithms or nature-inspired. We can't call it either nature-based or nature-inspired or some we can use a similar word. These algorithms strive to main. These are the 4-5 main points. First, act as a global search tool to find the global optimization. What is the why these algorithms are famous in academia as well as in the industries, and they are being used. In fact, they are applied in practical applications. There are one thing. There are different types of the algorithms proposed by the researchers, and some algorithm gives a good result in some application, some does not. Therefore, we can always explore the different algorithms depending on our application, and also can think about developing a new algorithm based on our surrounding. As you know, NP-hard problem is difficult to solve, but these algorithms able to solve the NP-hard problem with discontinuity, because no derivative is being find out at the discontinuity, and non-linear problems. Obviously, they are inspired from the nature. Objective can be non-differentiable and multimodal. Objective function. Multimodal function have more than one optima, but can either have a single or more than one global optima. And remember, this optima can be the optima, that is the value, can be a minimization or the maximization. Here we compute the large number of the variables and constants. So therefore, they are also called as single objective, multi-objective. They solve the problem. Some algorithms solve only the problem of the single objective, but some algorithms are able to solve the multi-objective. So we can think about a model, general model of an optimization problem. So we decide about the decision vector, simulate it, then some objective vector, then once the objective function is defined, we apply the optimization algorithms, find out the parameters using the optimization algorithms, use them again in the decision, and then apply to the model and determine the output. As I told you, there is a broad field of AI. In fact, everything is now computer science. We are talking about the computational intelligence. So there are different type of the field which can be explored in any research area, in any area of the research. The one is which we are discussing right now is a nature-inspired algorithm. Another is the fuzzy logic system, that is also called as a soft computing. We can, and nowadays we are also using the neural networks, which is almost applied in all the fields. And there is another beauty of the fuzzy logic, that you can combine the fuzzy logic system with your neural network, and then the system we call it is a neurofuzzy system. So neurofuzzy system is also very good uh, for solving the different problems, especially in the computer science areas. So computational intelligence broadly can be come under these three parts. Since our aim is this slide, why I have discussed this one? Because one cannot be a stick about the one type of the tool available with me. I can think about the another tools available to solve my problem. So nature-inspired algorithm can be combined with the fuzzy logic also, or to solve the problem, or problem can be solved using the fuzzy logic, problem can be solved using the neural network, and neural network can be combined with nature-inspired algorithm. One of the recently we have one of the PhD student is is at the verge of submitting his her PhD, and this is hello. So she's work in text classification, and the IEEE transition paper also has been accepted for her work. And what is the idea was that nature-inspired algorithms has been used there to solve the text classification problem. Another work which another student is doing in neural network, we have the convolutional neural network in which weights are to be decided. Normally, people are deciding the weight by using the hit and trial method. But one of my student, or not my student, researchers are doing that the weights should be decided using the concept of optimization, and nature-inspired algorithms can be used to find out the optimal value of the weight in convolutional neural network. So these are interrelated. We cannot say these are separate, but they are interrelated. Can be combined. And since today's talk is based on the nature-inspired algorithm and its application in images, therefore I will be restricting the application of the nature-inspired algorithm in image processing. So broadly, we can divide the nature-inspired algorithms into the two categories. One is the evolutionary computing or evolutionary algorithms, and another is swarm-based optimization. So in evolutionary computing, we have a lot number of algorithms, but some of the algorithm we have just included here is the genetic algorithm, which is very famous, and differential evolutionary algorithms. Similarly, in case of the swarm optimization, particle swarm optimization, end colony optimization, and there are a number of algorithms based on the swarming principle. It is there. So, what is happening in the case of the evolutionary algorithms in general? A guided search procedure followed. Individual suits to the environment survive, produce and pass their traits to the next generation. Upstreams are created using reproduction, mutations, etc. Reproduction, mutation, crossover, etc. Population adapt to the environment. Variations accumulate with time to generate the new fittest species. Such algorithms become useful in developing the methods to arrive at near optimal solution. As I told you, every time it will give will not be will not have a fixed result. It will be slightly different. So it will arrive at the near optimal solution, if not exact, to a large scale optimization problem where customary mathematical methods may fail. There are a number of terminology depending on, for example, I am developing new algorithms, nature based on some nature, and something maybe some process may be happening for that algorithm. But normally the terminology which we are using in evolutionary algorithms is the individual. These are the carrier of the genetic information. So we call this chromosomes. It is characterized by its state in the search space, its fitness value, that is objective function. Then comes to the population. It is a pool of the individuals which allows the application of the genetic operator. So normally, any algorithm which we are using, we randomly define the number of population size. More is the population size, better may be a solution, but it may take more time. So higher population size does not always make sure that you will have a best result. The third terminology is the fitness function. Fitness function is created to check the suitability of an individual's. The term fitness function is often used as a synonym for the objective function. So sometimes we call it as objective function, sometimes we call it as fitness function. Just a minute, I have to take an important call. हेलो, हाँ गुड आफ्टरनून। तो मैं भूल गया यार, कहाँ पहुंची तुम? अच्छा ठीक है, फिर बाद में बात करना। फिर अभी मैं बिजी हूँ, बाद में बात करना। That is fitness function we defined. So objective function, normally fitness function or objective function is a difference of the two values. One is changing, another is fixed. We call fixed is the desired one. So try to reach out the some solution. Normally, maximum we are considering this the minimization problem. Generations, that is naturally time unit of the evolutionary algorithm. It is an iterative steps of an evolutionary algorithm. So in everyday life, if you think about what the evolutionary algorithm, what are the basically evolutionary algorithms? So for example, here we can think out that this is the population size in which individuals are present. And for example, the two individuals here, after the crossover, practically they can be a parents. Then offspring is produced. Then the genetic property comes in the offspring after this one. But the another important phenomena is the mutation. That means without the genetic genetic transform, there may be altogether different solution. Altogether, there may be a different solution. So, if it is genetic is there, then it is it will be related to the original solution, related to the original one. But there is a possibility of the complete mutation, and complete mutation will give the altogether different solution. Nowadays, you also knows that this COVID coronavirus genome sequence, we are looking at this one. So once it is mutated, so original property does not come into the new virus. So here the mutation is dangerous. But here in this evolution algorithm, we can have altogether different solution. That is mutation. Basically, there are two things happens in evolutionary algorithm for finding the optimas. Use the concept of exploration versus exploitation, and the same is explained in the diagram form. The exploration means search for the promising solution. That is nothing but the crossover mutation operator. And exploitation, prefer to the good solution, that is selection operator. But we always has to balance between these two processes. Some algorithms are good in the exploration. Some algorithms are good in the exploitation. Therefore, now the researchers are working towards the hybrid of the two different types of algorithms. A lot of hybrids have come into the in recent years. You will find the hybrid algorithms. So one property of the algorithm, one algorithm and another property of another algorithm being combined. So this is also an idea. You can think about combining the two or more than two algorithms to a hybrid for the better result, for better solution. So excessive exploration happen in the random search, and excessive exploitation results in the premature conversion. So for a good evolutionary algorithm, you should have a balance between exploration and exploitation. That is a general rule. So there are, in fact, now every 1 month or two, if you look at the good journals, one is the IEEE transition on evolutionary computing, you'll find at least one algorithm, modified version of the original one algorithms are developed by the researchers. So these are the examples. Those who are not aware of these algorithms, they can think about genetic algorithm, very old, differential evolution, very old. PSO, particle swarm algorithm, or it is also known as a particle swarm optimization. It has been widely used because it converges very fast, but it has some drawback, traps in the local minima. Then another name, Firefly, bait algorithm, you name so many. Ant colony optimization algorithm, bee colony optimization algorithm, bacterial foraging algorithms. In the initial years when this ant colony optimization came, then we have worked for use of the ant colony optimization, that is ACO, in image processing. So that's the reason I will be introducing the use of the ant colony optimization in image processing. Bacterial foraging algorithm has also been developed in 2002 or 1998. That is slightly complex, but it also gives the very good result in some specific application. And one thing that what we researchers has to do or now doing, we have to explore the different techniques, and sometimes by exploring the technique, one technique gives the better result, And once it is giving the better result with the existing algorithm, it is always a new research that will be useful for the future research. So bacterial foraging algorithm has not been widely applied in different applications. So one can think about using this bacteria foraging algorithm. SALP algorithm is also a new algorithm, 2017. So many algorithms you name. These are the few algorithms. I'm just discussing very brief, very brief, only one slide in based on main algorithms. So in genetic algorithm, a population is optimized to get better solution. Normally, in other algorithm, we define the population size. Here, the population is optimized to get the better solution. The fitness function evaluates the fittest individuals, which survives and pass to the next generation. It happens in the genetic algorithm. You all know the genetic meaning. The same thing is being happened here. In case of the differential evolution algorithm, this algorithm optimizes a problem by maintaining a population of a candidate solution and create a new candidate solution by combining the existing one and keeping the fittest candidate according to the fitness function. The same is also happening in bacteria foraging algorithm. If some of the bacteria died, then the same number of the bacteria are again added in the solution. The expression was introduced by the scientists named as Gerardo, Bene, and Jing in 1989 in the concept cellular robotic system. These algorithms consist of the collective behavior of decentralized, self-organized system, natural or artificial, group of animals, social insects such as ants, bees, particle swarm optimization. This algorithm optimizes a problem with the help of iterations and try to improve the candidate solution with regard to the fittest function. It considers the population of candidate solution with its position and velocity. Here the position and velocity are used, and there are two expression, P based or G based. That is a base solution and global based solution. When present solution reaches finally the global based solution, then iteratively it stops. So there is a position vector there and there is a velocity vector in the PSO. Since I will be using this ACO here in the application, so describing slightly in detail what is the end colony optimization. How many of you have come across this name, end colony optimization? Participants, how many of you came across this word? It is widely used in computer, different application in computer science. End colony optimization. Nobody?
पार्टिसिपेंट्स अनम्यूट करके बोल दीजिए, मैसेज बॉक्स में लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है।
हाँ, क्योंकि मैं तो मैसेज बॉक्स जाने के लिए मुझे तो फिर वापस इससे बाहर आना पड़ेगा।
Exactly.
Yes, sir. I've heard of this word, and I'm in my current research. I'm using it.
Okay, very good, very good. So, from how many years you are using it?
Sir, I've just recently started. It's
Okay,
just
okay,
been
okay.
a couple of months.
Okay, so it has been widely used since last 20 years. That's the reason. Those who have not applied it in their field, they can use this algorithm if it has not been applied. And even if it has been applied, in that one, you can use it in the different manners. There are a number of variant of the ACO also. And also you can combine this ACO with some other operations. So uncolonized is a nature-inspired optimization algorithm that is motivated by the natural foraging behavior of a ant species. Basic principle: the ant, while moving, deposits the pheromones on the ground. That is chemical. The name of the chemical is given as a pheromone on the ground to mark path between the food source and their colony. That means the one ant is moving from one location to another location. It will deposit some chemical that is known as a pheromones, and the next ant will follow that chemical. If it find more chemical in a path, then the more number of ants follow that particular path. So the idea is very simple, very, very simple. And then pheromones is followed by the other members of the colony. Over a time, obviously it's chemical which evaporates. The amount of pheromone evaporates depending on the time taken by the ants to travel down the path and back. The shorter path gets march faster. It's obvious. And the pheromone density, even see in the application, we will be defining these terms. So we will be using artificial ant colony optimization, because everything we will be mathematically, we have to define. Even pheromone concentration, you have to decide initially. Then after some time, how it has been reduced, changing, you have to decide depending on your applications. And pheromone density remains high on shorter paths because the pheromone is let down faster. This positive feedback mechanism eventually leads the ant to follow the shorter path. It is this natural phenomena that inspired the development of ACO, meta-heuristic algorithm. In ACO methods, artificial ant use virtual phenomenon to update their path. ACO iteratively find the optimal solution of the target points through the movement of number of ants over the space by depositing and evaporating the pheromone traits. There are two fundamental issues. We should not call it as a issue hardly, strictly, but they are fundamental two issues in the ACO. That if you are able to do it, then you can simply use it. We have to establish the probabilistic transition matrix. That is probability of moving of ant from one location to another location. And the second is update the pheromone matrix. We define two mathematical function. One is the probability matrix, probability transition matrix, another is the pheromone matrix. So if you are able to find out the probability transition matrix and you are able to update the pheromone matrix, then your problem of using the ACO will be overcome. You can apply that in your application. So how it establish, in fact, with just a simple example. First, at the nth consecutive steps of the ACO, see, they will be moving stepwise. For example, the kth ant move from node I to node j. The particular ant is moving from one node to another node, that is from one location to another location, which will be decided by the according probability transition matrix, which is determined by. So tau is a symbol for the phenomenon matrix, and neta is some function. Remember, if I want to define the formula for the probability, then obviously its value should be less than 1. So suppose I, in stage of developing a new mathematical function, I was thinking to develop a new mathematical function, and it came in my mind that probability I have to define, and the value of the probability should be less than 1. So what are the parameters I should take into the consideration? So obviously I should take the consideration parameter is the Phenomenon matrix, which will affect my solution, and another some function, some information, depending on the application. And that information can be called as a heuristic information or some kind of the information depending on the application. Then the two variables are there with me. So if two variables are there with me, so normally probability, the formula for the probability is this multiplied by this, then the summation of the total, so that it will become less than 1. So this probability transition matrix is defined here. What is this meaning of the tau to the power n minus 1? The n minus 1 is the previous value. Previous value, or n is the present value. So if you think about how this formula is working, then at the same time, because I am developing a new mathematical the algorithms, so in practical application, I should think about the effect of those parameters in finding the solution. So I thought about making the power alpha and another power beta. If there is no power of the alpha and no power of the beta, then the effect of these two terms will be same in the solution. Therefore, by making it as a power of alpha and beta, we are controlling the probability transition matrix. Sometimes for example, I'm more concerned about the tau. So, and I'm not concerned about the neta, so I will select beta is equal to 1. And or I will make beta less and alpha more, so that the effect of the phenomenon matrix will be more, and vice versa. So this formula has been defined using the concept of the probability. Where this tau n is the phenomenon information value of the arc linking the node I to linking node J. The arc word has been taken simply because we'll be moving from one place to the another place, from one node to the another node, where neta ij represents the heuristic information for location at a particular location for going from one node I to another node J, which is fixed to be same for each constructive steps. Constant alpha and beta influence the phenomenon information and heuristic information respectively. So, for example, I think everybody should be aware of traveling salesman problem. Are you aware of the traveling salesman problem? मुझे मिनिमम डिस्टेंस कवर करने के बाद में सारे सिटी को कवर करना होता है टीएसपी प्रॉब्लम में.
Yes,
तो
sir.
वहां पे जो ह्यूरिस्टिक इंफॉर्मेशन होगी मेरी, नीटा रिप्रेजेंट द ह्यूरिस्टिक इंफॉर्मेशन, will be the minimum, will be the distance between the two cities. So this first, this is defined, and then second, this phenomenon matrix need to be updated twice during the ACO process. One is for the kth and another from complete solution. The first update is performed after the movement of the each aunt within each constructive steps. To be more specific, after the movement of the kth aunt within the nth constructive steps, the phenomenon matrix is updated using this particular formula. And remember, this formula has taken the effect of third term. This is delta of tau. Delta tau is not a difference of tau. It is delta tau is some information, maybe heuristic information. Where this rho is the evaporation rate. Further, the determination of the best tour is subject to the user-defined criteria. It could be either the best tour found in the current transition steps or best solution found since the start of the algorithm or a combination of both. Anybody can interpret this this function? Why somebody has defined this like? See why that second term has been taken into the consideration. Second term effect. The second term is based on the application part, and first term is everywhere. It will be same in on-colony optimization. Now suppose rho is equal to 1, then the first term will be 0. That means all has been evaporated. So nothing, no information is there for the aunt. So this tau is then, it will be totally defined on the delta of tau. That is some heuristic information. And if it is 0, then the previous value will be taken, and with the effect of this. And if it is not a best of 2, then this Ferroman concentration will remain same as the previous one. Otherwise, it has to be changed. Also, I need to define the effect of the tau, effect on tau, with some decay. That means the Ferroman concentration will remain constant. Over the time, it will reduce. Therefore, another expression has been defined here. We have to update. Second update is performed after the movement of all k aunts within each constructive steps, and the Ferroman matrix is updated using this one, where again phi will be defined as per the application. It will be between 0 to 1. So decay phi Ferroman decay coefficient I have to define experimentally depending on my application. So again, if decay is complete decay is there, so it becomes 0. So it will be going to the initial value. Tau 0 is basically the initialization. So we are talking about the evolutionary algorithm, but there are certain limitations of the evolutionary algorithms. The first and foremost limitation is the no guarantee of finding the optimal solution in finite time. So that is the first and most limitation. जरूरी नहीं आपको solution मिले और in the finite time में मिले. So it's asymptotic convergence is there. And the another advantage, remember, so I'm using the evolutionary computing or I'm using the optimization, then my problem becomes complex because earlier the parameters were selected directly by me, but now the parameters has been, the value of the parameter is being found using the evolutionary computing, which will take another step. So the complexity increases. So it contains a number of parameters. Sometimes the result is highly dependent on the parameter set. It's obvious. When we don't know, we have to initialize the value of the parameters. So if you are not initializing the value of the parameters properly, then it may not give the solution, or it will give the solution, but it will take too much of the long term. So parameter set initialization it's highly dependent, and self-adaptive parameters are commonly used. As I told you, computational very expensive. Meta model of the functions are commonly used. So the next part is the application of the ACO. One can use this ACO in other application also, or one can use the age detection with another algorithm. So we are fortunate enough because we started this using the ACO in image processing very early. So before we used it, there are two, three papers, in fact, in use of the ACO in image processing. So in 2009 we produced the first paper, and then in 2011 we produced the three papers based on the ACO, and now the number of people are using it, modified version of that one. And why I have taken this age detection for discussion, because it is easy to understood how we can calculate the age. Therefore, that is the reason the age detection has been taken. Otherwise, you can think about number of application image processing. And since I have combined the age detection with fuzzy, therefore, just wanted to introduce you the basics block diagram of the fuzzy system. We have the input, then we fuzzified it, defined some membership function, and that membership function takes the value between 0 to 1. Depending on the application, we decide the shape of the membership functions. So once it is fuzzified using the membership function, we have converted the CRISP input into fuzzy input. Then we define the inference rules. We call them fuzzy rule also. And based on the rules and criteria, certain criteria, we find the fuzzified output. Since now it is in between, the value is between 0 to 1. For example, the intensity of the pixel is between 0 to 1, but in actual image, it will be, for example, in an 8-bit image, it will be 0 to 255. So I have to defuzzify it so that I will have the crisp output again. So, in fact, this fuzzy theory in image processing, there is a Gonzalez and Wood book. Has been a chapter since last 10 years. It has been included because fuzzy theory is widely used in processing. So what we have done, we have combined the fuzzy theory, evolutionary computing, and use them in the image processing. There are several problems in image processing where the vagueness is always present. The maximum vagueness, in fact, they are present in the image. I don't know this pixel belongs to which category. So, in fact, now when we are thinking about the classification also, then there is a k-mean algorithm, CRISP algorithm. So, because in image processing, we don't have the CRISP information, so there is a commonly word classification algorithm that is known as a fuzzy c-mean algorithm. K-mean, then it is a c-mean, then fuzzy c-mean algorithm is widely used for the classification purpose. So, for example, how the vagueness is there. I have a pixel which can be a edge pixel or noisy pixel. For example, edge is a discontinuity. And if it is a paper and salt noise, then that is also a discontinuity. So I don't know whether it is a edge pixel or it's a noisy pixel. I wanted to find out the edges in the image, but I am end up with finding the noise, a noise pixel in the image. So I have to decide. Using the fuzzy theory, I can easily decide which can be, by defining some rule, then it will belong to the edge pixel or it will belong to the noisy pixel. So this vagueness can be dealt with fuzzy theory by defining appropriate memberization function and fuzzy rule. There are two things. Nowadays, type 2 fuzzy theory is almost being applied where the type 1 fuzzy, where normal fuzzy theory was applied. So again, just repetition of this one for the ACO matrix. So we have the 4 steps: initialization, then constructive process, then iterative process, then decision process. These are the common steps in ACO, which we'll be using now for the age detection. So in decision process, basically, try to compute the threshold adaptive for making the binary decision at each pixel to find whether the pixel is part of the edge or not. Here my coordinates will be the position of the pixels, where the ant will be moving from one location to the another location. I will decide the step size. Normally we take the window size of the 3x3, 3x3. One can take the window size of the 5x5 also, 7x7 also, but always 3x3 takes the better results. So in that one, we look at each and every pixel in the image. So now we are talking about the theory in edge detection. So this is edge is basically now this slide we come from this fuzzy theory to the edge detection. Now the technique is based on the observation that a large derivative are possibly edges in the image. So suppose I have not developed any theory, I have not included the edge detection till now. ACO, I have not included concept of the ACO in edge detection. Now I'm thinking about the incorporating the ACO concept in edge detection, and I know that edge is nothing but it is a change in the intensity value, and change in intensity value we can call it as a derivative. We can think about the derivative. So if I ask you this derivative, the change in the intensity value between the two pixels in an image can be represented by mathematically can be represented in ACO by which parameters? जो कुछ मुझे बता देगा तो उसको एक रिसर्च का आइडिया लग जाएगा. मैं बता दूं, this equation is there. ACO. Now I want to combine this ACO with the concept that I am able to find out whether this pixel is the edge pixel or not edge pixel. So for that one, the intensity difference between the two adjoining pixel will be the criteria. If the difference is very high, then we can think about that pixel belongs to the edge pixel, otherwise it does not belong to the edge pixel. So because this probability will decide about the movement of the ant to the next step, then which mathematical function, which function here can we think about combining the edge information in this formula? Anyone? तभी तो रिसर्च आती है हमें, अदरवाइज कैसे आएगी हमें ना. कोई जो बताता जाएगा कभी भी रिसर्च नहीं आएगी, अपने आप से डेवलप नहीं कर पाएंगे ना. सो एनीवन? I think I should say best participant award should be given by the organizer, especially in the online. No? The best participant award should be given to the participant.
क्वेश्चन पूछ लीजिए participants.
पार्टिसिपेंट बताइए. मैं उसको मुझे रिसर्च करनी है ना, तो मैंने आगे तो बताया नहीं आपको कि मुझे इसकी एज का इंफॉर्मेशन जो होती है वो चेंज इन इंटेंसिटी वैल्यू होती है. जितनी इंटेंसिटी वैल्यू में चेंज जितना हाई होगा, पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ एज एट दैट लोकेशन विल बी हाई. सो नाउ मैं वो उसको इंटेंसिटी वैल्यू का जो डिफरेंस है ना, उसको इनकॉर्पोरेट करना चाहता हूँ फॉर मूवमेंट ऑफ दी दिस आंट्स यूजिंग दिस प्रोबेबिलिटी ट्रांजिशन मैट्रिक्स. सो उसको उस मैथमेटिक्स को मैं यहाँ पे कैसे इसको कंबाइन करूं? व्हाट इज दैट वैल्यू? जो दो डिफरेंस है वो क्या होगा? ओनली देयर आर टू पैरामीटर्स. नहीं, दिस tau is I have to define randomly.
Yes sir.
Only neta is remains here. और क्या बचा है यहाँ पे? This neta is the another function which is I have included here for the movement of ant in the probability transition matrix, and this will be application based So in case of my age detection, this will be the difference of the intensity values. So higher is the difference of the intensity value, more will be the probability of moving of the ant from one location to the another location. So neta will be taken as a derivative difference of the intensity value. So the technique is based on the observation that a large derivative are possibly age in an image, and then we have to define the fuzzy rules are defined, and these rules depends on the intensity of the 8 neighbors. Why we are calling 8 neighbors? Because I am selecting here this window size of 3 cross 3, that is 9 pixels in an image. उसको फिर विंडो को हम पूरी इमेज में मूव करवाते हैं. So I have to have a second pixel, central pixel. So in image processing, there is a 8 connectivity. We teach in the theory 8 connectivity, 4 connectivity. So there are 8 neighbors. So accordingly, we have to define the rules. These rules are using derivative methods, gives the probability factor, which is used as a heuristic function for movement of the ant, which I told you, this neta. The heuristic function used to represent the age information at each pixel location of the image. So how we are doing it? So there will be now repetition of the ACO, but it will be, the repetition is now, we have included the concept of the derivative. So what we are doing, we are randomly fixing k ants in random position, distributed throughout the image. So now each pixels can be think about the node, because we have used the term node I to node j. The ant move from node I to node j. Then I have to initialize the phenomenon concentration. I should not think about, see here, because I am using this ant colony optimization concept for that has been modeled as an algorithm. So I have to initially think about that these are the phenomenon concentration or the paths. So I have to initialize the phenomenon concentration. That is the matrix for that one. So there will be 2 metrics. In fact, one is the phenomenon matrix when I implement this one, and another will be the different ant at different locations. So now it is combined that the nth consecutive step, one ant is randomly selected from the kth ant. This ant will consecutively make a movement of L steps on an image. That movement will be decided by the difference. The movement is from node 1m to its neighboring node ij. Just an example, L to m. Sorry, it is not 1, it is L. This is not 1. This is L. To its neighboring node ij according to the probability transition matrix. The same has been combined now. So the main issue is I have to determine what is the heuristic function. And the basic idea heuristic function will be the derivative difference of the intensity value between the 2 neighboring pixels. So the main issue is the heuristic function, the determination of the permissible range of the ant's movement, which depends on the type of the connectivity chosen. We have chosen obviously here 8 connectivity. So now how we combine the ACO into the image edge detection. So heuristic function determination using the derivative approach. It is very simple if you think about simple notation. The central pixel has been represented by the XY, current location is represented by the XY, and there are 8 derivatives in different direction. There will be direction belongs to the north, west, south, east, northwest, and so on. So mathematically, the next slide will give you a clear-cut idea. We have produced the two papers based on this phenomena, two SCI index paper in 2010. Nowadays, no student is working on age detection. I don't have any student working in the age detection. So, what this diagram representing? Basically, this line. I am assuming that this line is a line in which the age is passing. So I have 3 pixels here, central pixels, then the pixel at northeast and the pixel at southwest. What I am doing, simply deciding about this one, I am finding the difference between these 2 pixels. XY minus XY minus 1. दोनों इंटेंसिटी का डिफरेंस निकाल रहा हूं. ऐसे मैं दूसरी का भी इंटेंसिटी का डिफरेंस निकाल रहा हूं, इसका भी इंटेंसिटी निकाल रहा हूं, डिफरेंस निकाल रहा हूं. आई एम फाइंडिंग द डिफरेंस of the intensity at the 2 locations, assuming that I am doing it for the central pixel XY. Then I will do for the another pixel also, then so on throughout the image. So this diagram indicates basically there is an edge passing through southwest northeast direction. I am assuming here in this diagram that there is an edge passing through southwest northeast direction. I think it is at the rate of the central pixel. Yeah. So to find the moment of onset, fuzzy derivative approach is used. So derivative is simply derivative, or fuzzy means we have fuzzified it. So the same thing in that figure. Neighborhood of the XY pixels, the derivative at the central pixel position XY in direction D, any direction D defined as the difference between the intensity of the pixel at this one and its neighboring pixel in the same direction. This difference can be defined as, denoted as, for example, delta of north, XY. I'm talking about the north. This is north. So one pixel this one, another pixel is this one. So intensity difference of this one. Then similarly, another I am defining northwest. X minus 1, Y minus 1. Northwest. Yeah, this is X minus 1, Y minus 1. It is not being shown. In fact, this is X minus 1, Y minus 1. So no, it is coming northwest. And this is coming simply north. This one. This difference minus this difference. So just an example. So there will be similarly 8 functions here, because I have to find the difference in 8 directions. So I am assuming that this edge is passing through this one. So finding the 3 derivative here, northwest direction. So 3 derivative is basically the difference between this intensity and this intensity, this and this intensity, and this and this intensity. I have to rotate it for 8 times. So this is in this way we are calculating the derivative. Now the same thing, suppose somebody want to modify this for the better result. This is the one way. Then I have to fuzzify it. I have to define some fuzzy rule. I can modify the fuzzy rule, different fuzzy rule, and if I'm getting the better result, then there will be the new research, and that is very helpful. Remember, this age detection is very, very important nowadays, when we are classifying the images or object in an image data set, big data set में जब हम ऑब्जेक्ट को क्लासिफाई करते हैं ना, इमेज को क्लासिफाई करते हैं, तो उसके बाउंड्रीज निकालते हैं. एंड अगर आपको एज डिटेक्शन की टेक्निक बहुत अच्छी तरह से पता है तो आप बाउंड्री निकाल सकते हो, और बेस्ड ऑन द बाउंड्री you can decide about that this object belong to this one. So you can do this concept for image classification. गूगल पे अगर आप डालोगे कि मुझे इस तरह की इमेजेस चाहिए तो कुछ ऐसा ही करता है. So next is I have to fuzify it. So we have to define fuzzy set. How it has been defined? The above difference do not distinguish clearly between the noisy pixel and edge pixel. See, noise मतलब the difference may be a large. Since the fuzzy set has a smooth boundary, we fuzify the difference to enable them find the direction of the edge. So how it has been fuzzified here? Very simple. देखो मैंने एक term use की large. That is the difference is large. So derivative in the above equations are fuzzified using the membership function. One function we are calling it as a large. And for that one, if the difference is greater than certain defined value. Sorry, first one is the less than. Sorry, this is not correct. It is less than. This is less than. Why I am able to find this mistake? Can anybody will tell me? When derivative is less than certain value, उसको कोई membership value नहीं दूंगा मैं, zero membership value दे रहा हूँ. ऐसा क्यों? Greater than B, why it is not correct? No one in the online is interested to. नहीं, मेरी क्लास चल रही होती तो मैं उस बच्चे को मैक्सिमम मार्क्स देता था ना, कि बेटे बता दो इसमें ये गलती क्यों है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ दिस इज मिस्टेक, डेल्टा शुड बी लेस देन बी, देन उसको मैं जीरो वैल्यू असाइन करूंगा. इफ डेल्टा इज ग्रेटर देन बी, देन उसको वन वैल्यू करूंगा. वन वैल्यू मीन्स 100% it belongs to the edge pixel. Zero means it does not belong to the edge pixel because difference is very small. Difference of the intensity, for example, I have decided difference of the intensity is 20 between the two pixels. Then if it is less than 20, I will say there is no edge. But if it is 100% greater than 20, then there will be 100% edge. But if it is between certain value 10 or 20, then there will be maybe a possibility of the edge, may not be a possibility of the edge. Then उसको हम 0 to 1 के बीच में value assign करेंगे. So this membership function is defined like this one. So मुझे fuzzification लगाना between 0 to 1, और 0 to 1 निकालने के लिए I have to define rule. That defining the rule will be the criteria. So मुझे रूल डिफाइन करने का सबसे सिंपल तरीका है, ए डायरेक्शन में जिसमें डेरिवेटिव की वैल्यू मैक्सिमम होगी ना, डिफरेंस की वैल्यू जिसमें मैक्सिमम होगी ना, मैं उस डायरेक्शन में मूव करवाऊंगा अपनी क्योंकि डिफरेंस की वैल्यू मैक्सिमम होगी तो उसका मतलब उस डायरेक्शन में है एज ही है, अदरवाइज नहीं है. सो इसके लिए फजी रूल डिफाइन कर रहे हैं. सो मैं उसको वी हैव गिवन द नेम. This is 2000. This given a name probability edge. This set is used to obtain the direction of the movement of the hand. और वो कैसे डिफाइन किया हमने? हम देख रहे हैं कि तीनों का डिफरेंस, if this is large and this is large and this is also large, then northeast is probably edge. तो तीनों डेरिवेटिव की वैल्यू लार्ज है तो उस डायरेक्शन में एज है. सिमिलरली अनदर साउथ ईस्ट में भी लार्ज है, देन दिस इज लार्ज, एंड सिमिलरली रूल्स आर डिफाइंड इन अदर डायरेक्शन. ऐसे कर दिया. इसका कोडिंग अगर मैं करूंगा तो उसकी वैल्यू मैंने लार्ज के लिए जो डिसाइड किया हुआ है वो बी, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द डिफाइनिंग द वैल्यू ऑफ ए एंड बी. सो मैं ए और बी के साथ प्ले करूंगा, थ्रेशोल्ड वैल्यू हो जाएगी ए और बी. नोबडी नोस, इट विल डिपेंड ऑन दिस टाइप ऑफ द इमेज. सो फॉर एवरी टाइप ऑफ इमेज आई हैव टू थिंक अबाउट डिफाइनिंग द वैल्यू ऑफ द ए एंड बी. यहाँ मैं अभी मैंने यूज नहीं किया है. आई कैन गिव वन देयर कि ए एंड बी अगर मुझे डिसाइड करना तो उसके लिए मैं ऑप्टिमाइजेशन एल्गोरिथम यूज कर सकता हूं, जो कि हमने नहीं की थी. तो उसको डेरिवेटिव को मैंने सिंबल दे दिया डेल्टा एफ इज सेट टू द डेरिवेशन ऑल 8 डायरेक्शन. एफ स्टैंड फॉर द फजी. सो फाइनली heuristic information I have to select. That heuristic information will be the derivative, and out of that one I have to decide Finally, delta f is used to calculate the probability factor for a particular pixel as the heuristic information neta for the moment of the ant from to find the edge pixel, and that neta is defined इनमें सबकी वैल्यू जो मैक्सिमम होगी ना, उस वाले को डिसाइड करूंगा मैं, जो 8 डेरिवेटिव है उसकी जो डेल्टा की वैल्यू जो मैक्सिमम होगी वो हो जाएगी मेरी neta. देन ऑब्वियसली उसका जो नेक्स्ट स्टेप है, मुझे क्योंकि अपडेट करना है उसको फिनोमेन मैट्रिक्स को, उसको अपडेट करने के लिए दिस इक्वेशन वाज यूज्ड, बट आई हैव नाउ दिस डेल्टा will be nothing but is heuristic information and it has been taken as a k symbol, n नहीं है यहाँ पे, so that although I can directly write rho into n also, but मैंने rho into n यहाँ इसलिए नहीं लिखा, otherwise वो एक प्रॉब्लम स्पेसिफिक हो जाएगा. This relation will become problem specific. So it is wide open for that this value may be anything. For example, in traveling salesman problem, it will be 1 upon the minimum distance between the two cities. Why 1 upon? Because मेरी minimum distance अगर होगी तो इसकी वैल्यू मैक्सिमम होगी, फिनोमेन उसके की वैल्यू वहां पे ज्यादा हो जाएगी. Then obviously उसको मुझे अपडेट करना है फिनोमेन मैट्रिक्स को, उसके लिए सेम इक्वेशन. So finally, I have to take the decision regarding the edge pixels, whether it belong to the edge pixel or not. As a part of this process, the decision made on the each pixel, whether it belongs to the edge pixel or not, by applying a threshold, some threshold value on the final phenomenon matrix. The threshold tau is obviously adaptive computed based on the method proposed by Otso. Otso is a method. Have you heard about the name Otso? थ्रेशोल्ड डिसाइड करने के लिए बहुत अच्छा मेथड है. हिट एंड ट्रायल से नहीं यूज करके ये मीन लेता है. एक्चुअली में मीन पे बेस्ड थ्रेशोल्डिंग मेथड कैन बी यूज एनीवेयर, नॉट ओनली इन द इमेज प्रोसेसिंग. So I'm not discussing now this adaptive thresholding. It is basically the dephagification. This present approach of the thresholding is taken as an average value of mean and the median of the local intensity distribution of the fuzzy edge map. The pixel having a membership value greater than the local thresholding threshold are marked as the objective, and rest of the pixels are considered to be a background. So edge pixels will be there. The binary edge map, objective and background pixels are assigned the value of 1 and 0, so that we can think about because I'm not dealing with the thresholding here, so I can skip this one. So finally, this is the result. There are standard edge detector operation available in the MATLAB, also in other algorithms, other tools also. So it's just shown as a comparison between the different edge detector methods. Binary image. We first converted the Lena image into the binary image, which indicates 0 and 1. Then use Solvable edge detector, other K-NE edge detector. In fact, K-NE edge detectors considered to be best edge detector. But private edge detectors gives a better result in term when there is a noise. Robot edge detector. These edge detectors are now has been included in the hardware, in the cameras. वो immediately process करके देते हैं. And now I think last slide. hope some of you will find this useful. Those who want to use the ACO not only in the image processing but in other field. Pattern recognition is also an important field. Any query? Most welcome. If no query, then it's also welcome.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Satyakam
Actually,
Rahul, you are from which place?
Yes, sir.
Let first introduce.
Sir.
You are from which place?
Sir, actually, I belong to Bihar.
You belong to Bihar and you are working?
Sir, currently I'm working in Ethiopia.
Okay.
Sir,
So you are in the
it's not
industry?
my post. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, sir, actually, I'm trying to use ACO method in resource allocation problem, especially in fog computing.
Oh,
I've
good.
recently started.
I'm one of my PhD students also working in the folk computing, and I will be finally asking him to use the nature-inspired algorithms for optimizing the resources.
Yeah, that's exactly I'm trying to do. Basically, aiming to economize electric consumption, beside other factors as well. So,
Okay.
actually, I have just started. I don't have much idea of ACO. I have
Yeah,
started.
see, this ACO will be used in your case. Think about, so for example, wireless sensor network, na. So you have to use the energy consumption there, na.
Yes, sir.
So similarly, here you have to use the minimum energy. That means that minimum energy concept will be the heuristic information for your problem, maybe. So heuristic information is basically you are minimizing the use of the electricity, na.
Yes, sir.
Thinking about minimizing the use of electricity.
Yeah. I mean, overall power consumption, not just electricity, sir.
Okay, or power consumption in the fog computing.
Yes, sir.
So you explore, but only thing is you need a heuristic information, and that heuristic information, like in age detection, it is a difference of the intensity values. So similarly, you need the heuristic information there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
What should be possible heuristic information in your fog computing? There are a lot number of things in fog computing. Possible
Actually, sir,
heuristic
initially I
information.
started from greedy algorithm, but later at the point
Okay.
of time, I realized if I use ACO, it would be more, accurate or will give me best possible result. So I think that's why,
So I can just guide you. If you go type in the Google, then fog computing and this genetic algorithm, you'll find 3-4 papers. So there are last year I found last year there was around 8-10 papers. They were based on the this natural inspired algorithm and the fog computing. So you can have some idea from there.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
And one thing, just a minute.
Sir.
One SSA. Day before yesterday, I downloaded one thesis on the cloud computing, but that concept can be used in the fog computing. I don't have that. It is not there. So it's fine. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I think, sir, we can have your email address so that in case if we
Yeah, I'm
want
just
to
typing.
interact with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have written an extensive survey paper on the folk computing. It is around 60 pages. So it is in the review stage, second review stage. That survey paper, if it comes, then I will share that survey paper. All kind of the problem in the folk computing has been described. It is around 55 pages are there on the folk computing. That is under review in the very good journal process.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
ठीक है, okay. Okay, it's nice that I have spent some time with the different people. Now, organizer, over to the organizers.
So lecture is over.
It's over. Lecture is over.
Okay, participants, hope you have cleared all your doubts.
पूछा, एक बच्चे ने पूछा था और ने तो पूछा नहीं. One participant is asked.
ठीक है सर, वो ईमेल एड्रेस वगैरह भी ले रहा था.
I'll share the email address.
ठीक है सर, I think there are no more questions. So
Okay.
So thank you very much, sir, for being with us and sparing your valuable time for our academy. Thank you so much, sir.
Take care. Okay. Thank you.
So participants, we shall be meeting in the next section at 2:30 p.m. So we can leave the meeting now.